them.
If you buy a pair of Levi's jeans and you remember those like clicky rhinestone thingies they used to have?
Bejewel.
The bedazzler.
Bedazzle.
Mm-hmm.
And you bedazzle a little heart on the bum. Like, it's the same thing.
And then you sell them, resell them.
You technically can't sell them under that brand's name with a higher price.
You can.
Oh. You don't go for a higher price than retail value.
I get it. Okay, so you're right. Now we're getting into a whole other thing, right? So I'm thinking like people that buy Vans and paint on them, okay?
Yeah.
Like Beth Stern, I follow Beth, and she had this adorable pair of Vans that some artist made for her with Helen's picture on it. You know, that famous picture Howard Stern painted, and they were selling the t-shirts. So it's just some nice person sent her, and she was like, Howard's like, show them your shoes, they're so cute. And she was like, oh yeah, a fan, whatever, sent me these. And she's like, oh, they just happen to be Vans. Okay, so if this artist was selling those, which they probably do artwork on a pair of plain white Vans, they like painted them, they could resell them, but they can't say it like it's Vans, it's just right.
But like, are they in trouble if they go painted Vans sneakers, like blood-filled Nike sneakers?
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. So, okay.
So if you buy, let's all get matching Vans. We're going to buy them. Our artist friend's going to paint on them.
Okay.
We commissioned them to paint. We bought the shoe for $45. So that's how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
And we have someone paint on them. We can pay them for the paint service. You cannot pay they cannot sell a shoe with a higher markup when it's copyright material on it.
Yeah, but why can't they turn around and sell the shoe for $200 and say it's a $45 shoe? We're not making money on the $45 shoe, but we're selling the paint.
So Lauren, this is tricky, Lauren, because
I would guess, just from my very limited law class,
right,
that it is hard to prove.
Right.
We need Lindsay. We need Lindsay as a consultant.
Right. This was a story for Lindsay. So, right, because here I'm thinking all right, so there's a very fine line with this, because I buy 50 white plain Champion t-shirts. I put the Rhinos logo on and I resell them.
But you don't sell them as Champion Rhinos t-shirts.
Okay. So they're probably going to sue him because he used the word Nike. And
I think intent means a lot. I think Gildan and Hanes know that they're selling these wholesale to people,
and they probably sign off on right. And there's probably
exactly. And then you sell it.
Right.
But you're not ripping off something that's, I don't know.
Well, and if he's implying that it is a collab with
Nike, right?
That's, I think, where it's getting messy. If he just said, here's my Satan blood-filled shoes, everybody buy them.
And here's the other thing. Nike might not have cared if it was for a charity or a positive thing, but if it's going to get bad press, it's going to make them want to
see. And it's getting bad press because of the whole Satan. I mean,
I'm still stuck on people sold out shoes full of blood.
Well, I'm sure it's probably just was blood mixed in with maybe the paint or the stitching.
Oh my God. A funny story. When we were in high school, the art class went on a trip to an art opening or something. And one of the guys says to this woman, he's like, oh my God, that picture is spectacular. What medium are you using? Use tampons.
Oh my God.
He's like, no, really. She's like, use tampons. Can you imagine?
People
how bad that art smells.
But you know what, though? I mean, I've already I have had this discussion in the many years ago. That was the big thing. Was the government was funding all of these artists, and that one. Remember the Pissing Jesus was the name of it. And it was a jar of piss with a cross in it. And they were saying this is art. It's pissing Jesus in piss. I'm going so far back. Anyway, that was a thing. And everybody was in an uproar because this artwork was funded by government grants. They didn't know what the art was going to be. but they were like, when is something considered art and when is it? You know what I mean? Not. And that's, you know, probably the same with the tampon art, you know? I don't know. Sometimes when I go to a
my God, it's called Piss Christ.
Yeah, that was it. Piss Christ.
2012.
Yep.
2011.
That was all the news back then. And I remember all the arguing going on and, you know what I mean, with between, you know, and I've always been involved with the arts. And so I was, you know, very familiar with the whole story, but they were also having a fit. Like, who cares if it was Piss Christ? That's fine. But it was funded by government grants, was this art, you know, not that the government knew what they were doing. Right. But it was part of the, you know, and what's art and what's not. You know, and sometimes I do go to, I go to these art galleries and I'm just like looking and I'm like, why is that $15,000?
Right?
I'm just going to go home and whip that shit up right now on a canvas. So I you know what? Art is to beholder. How do they say it? Art, you know, but
beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. You just don't, you know, same as comedy. Some comedy's not for everyone. Some art's not for everyone. But some of those pictures, I'm just like, oh, wow. It's just a red stripe on a white canvas. And they slap.
Yeah. And they go for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, how do you know a toddler didn't do that?
That's who cares? I'd sell my toddler's artwork.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If people are going to buy it.
Right. So Lauren found a mom behaving badly for us. We haven't had an MBB. So Florida mom with boxing gloves super glued to hand fight girls at daughter's school. Okay, wait. What?
Back up. What?
I didn't read the whole story. We need Lauren.
Yeah. So the mom shows up at school wearing a boxing glove.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so her daughter got in trouble for fighting. The mom picks her up, comes back, goes to the cafeteria to fight the girl that her daughter was previously fighting with.
Uh-huh.
So her daughter and the mom and the daughter start punching the other girl. The mom was wearing a boxing glove. She told them that she had super glued it to her wrist and she couldn't remove it. So she kept beating the girl with it.
Holy crap.
He was arrested on account of child abuse with a personal special weapon.
She's bad.
If she actually did or didn't super glue, it's unclear. But she said that it was super glued, so she couldn't take it off. So it was just like part of her.
You know, this makes me think of like, what? Like, all right.
She looks a little methy in her headshot.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not thinking that she's an upstanding citizen. For me, I do remember, I always remember, like, you know, someone was like, oh, you know, somebody who picks on your kid, like as a mother, like knowing your child's getting bullied or whatever, like it does make you like next level, like not, you know, think.
Yeah.
But for me, I was such a shitty mother that whenever something would go wrong, I always was like, well, what'd my daughter do? I was one of those mothers that, and my poor kids, they wouldn't have done nothing, but they knew Ma's going to assume it's us. So if someone's like, yeah, someone just broke that window, and I'd be like, which of my kids did it? But they're like, we didn't do nothing. So I didn't, you know, I never really had to worry about them getting bullied because I was always such a lunatic about them always sticking up for everybody else. Like I had like ingrained that shit in their head as kids. You know, like if you ever see somebody being disrespected, you will always stand up and you will always, you know, and I will never forget, there was these two kids that didn't live too far from us and they rode the same bus. All right. There were these twin girls. And I want to say at the time they were all around the ages of 11 and 12. and 13. Okay. All the same age. And these two little girls would get on the bus, and they didn't come from it. Like the house was, pretty dumpy and everything. And my daughters were always like, it's the Ham sisters. And I'm like, what do you mean the Ham sisters? They're like they smell like ham sandwiches.
Ew.
And they were all laugh when they would get on the bus. And I was like, oh no, we're going right over to the Ham sisters' house. And you're going to see how the Ham sisters live. Okay. Before you pick on somebody who can't control what, you know what I mean? And they were all like, we're sorry. So I'm like, you will stick up for the Ham sisters when they get picked on, because you don't know. Listen to me, the Ham sisters, right? You will stick up for these girls, right? Not just don't participate in that bullshit. Mm-hmm. But I did notice that there was a lot of bullying stuff in the school, like with people discussing bullying. Like it was huge when my kids were growing up, but they came from a very like cliquey, where I think a lot of the parents of these students were bullies. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was like, they're like the school they went to, it was either like very wealthy or not. There wasn't a lot of in between, which I think the wealthy, I would go to the cheerleading meets, and these mothers were fucking bullies. And I could see how the children were like that too. So, a lot of that is learned from home. And unfortunately, this woman who went there to fight, for her kid, I'm sure her kid's going to end up, being some type of a mess when she gets older too. It's all learned behavior. And yeah. So
can you imagine like coming home and telling your mom, or like your mom's picking you up from school and you're like, yeah, this girl punched me in the cafeteria, and she's like, oh hell no, turns around the car, gets the boxing glove out, and just like is like, we're going back to the cafeteria. That's insane.
Yeah, my mom would just never.
But a lot of people, would. A lot. So
the poor girl that got attacked has a chipped tooth, bruises, cuts. She went to the hospital.
I can't, the mother just took her out. That's a pretty good mom's behaving badly. Not the worst. We've seen much worse, but that was a good one. The dumb news stories are just finally starting to roll out.
All right. Yeah. I've got a good wedding.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Bride doesn't show up after 2 hours of waiting, then calls and tells the groom that she's changed her mind. Groom starts crying. His mom stands up and starts shouting, shut the fuck up. I told you to marry Kathy. But no, Kathy was too fat for you, huh? You just had to Stop. Don't make me stop. She couldn't even wipe her ass with those nails, much less cook you your dinner. Why would Jessica want you? You're broke and you're ugly. Kathy would have stood you up.
Okay. Talk about a mom's behaving badly.
Kathy wouldn't have stood you up because she's ugly too. Serves you right. Groom continues to cry while guests stare on in shock. Yes, people, Kathy was there, but just like everyone else, she was afraid to confront the mom. She did give the groom a hug afterwards.
All right.
I'm done. I can't breathe.
Jen, you just found the MBB of the month. Sorry, Lauren.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Jen's MBB.
Can you imagine?
Okay. Was this on your wedding shamers page?
Huh?
Was this on your wedding shamer?
Yes.
So it's getting back. COVID's over. COVID's coming to an end. The wedding shaming page is lit up again.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. Well, that's something. She's a monster. But
not even privately in front of everybody at the wedding.
But she's right, ain't she? Mama's always right.
Oh,
Mama was right.
Kathy, she's fat and ugly. She would have cooked you dinner.
She can't cook you dinner with those nails. She can't even wipe her own ass.
Bless. And poor Kathy has to hear it all.
Is there